Hi everybody, it's Mr. Stewart here with your assignment video for level 1 and week 4. So this is the beginning of the hand waving assignment. So we're going to have a character wave its hand 3 times. Now if you're doing this in hand-drawn animation, then you can use any character you'd like. You can design your own character. If you have a character you've already designed, you can use that. It can be an animal or a plant or any kind of character waving at least 3 times, and it can do anything else you want as well. So it can be as creative as you would like. Now if you're going to be doing it in Maya, then I have a rig for you to use. It's a little snowman and it's a simple little rig, and I'm going to give a demo of the assignment in Maya that will also include a demo of the rig. Alright, so here is the little mini snowman character we have, and I'll go over the controls very quickly. So we'll start down at the bottom. This outer ring is kind of the master node, and this will move everything. You can turn it. You can scale it, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's not going to scale a face. Usually setting it at 1 is fine. So this is basically to position your character where you want it to be. So if you want your character to come in kind of and be curious about an object, so we'll create a little sphere and set it here. So if you want it to be curious about an object, then you can move that master node over, and you can even kind of turn it to face the object there. So the next set of controls inside is going to be the body node. Now the body node is the control that you're going to move the character on. If you grab some of these other ones, they'll move too, but they're not going to really, you're going to kind of rip the character apart rather than help it move. So as you do sort of a jumping motion, this is the control that you'll set keys on to do that. The next one up is the spine. Now you can move this around. You're going to get, there's no limits on the snowman here, but if you move it too far, you'll get some odd shapes. But if you want to rotate it and move it over a little bit, you can get some nice shapes for the snowman. This also does have a squash and stretch control on it here. So if you go over to the channel box, grab that, then you can squash and stretch the entire body, and that's where you'll key that in. The next control up here at the top is the head, and this will move the head around. Now again, there's no control, there's no limits on this, so you can break it pretty easily. You have to just use your best judgment, but it does allow you to move it a little bit. And you can see that face sort of, it goes along with it, but the face is, it has some controls that you can use. The outer ring will move the face as a whole wherever you want. And then if you want to individually go in and move the different pieces, you can do that as well just by clicking on those pieces. And sometimes you'll have to kind of pull that out to line them up. But this way you can make a frown, and you can give a lot more expressions to the snowman. And if you ever want to put, yeah, I guess I pulled them out quite a bit, so you have to kind of go in from another angle and line them all up. And if you ever want to put everything back, if you grab all of those pieces and put all the translate and rotate pieces back, it's going to pull it right back to the beginning. And you can do that with actually all of the controls. So if you set everything at 0, except for the scale, you'll always set scale at 1, then you will be able to bring it back to a default pose. So you can, next thing we can look at the arms. Both arms are set up the same. There's only one control to rotate the arm. There's no elbow. And so it's a snowman that has no skeleton really, just that stick for an arm. And then the scale, you can shrink it or lengthen it. And then the circle around the 3 little fingers will move the whole hand, and then each individual finger can move. Again, it doesn't have any joints, so you just move those fingers if you want, like that. And I'm not going to get into the scarf controls just yet. I would say for this assignment, for this week, you don't even need to touch those. That will get into overlap in upcoming weeks. So those are the controls for the snowman. Okay, so as we get started to animate a wave 3 times, there's a couple things to think about as you move forward. So one is, remember the lessons you learned in the bouncing ball assignment. And if you want to make this character sort of bounce up a couple of times, then you can do that. And this would be the control, again, that you would use. And when you key that control and then move that control forward and key it again, it's going to be just like the bouncing ball. So the same ideas are going to happen there. You're going to want to make that translate Y linear. Be very aware of that curve. Now if you notice these dotted lines here, then that is what's called infinity, and it's being shown right now. Now you can get rid of them by going to View and Infinity, and you can turn those off. So we'll use those another time. Okay, so, but just like that. Now the other thing to keep aware of is the play button works okay, but the more keys you get with a rig like this, you're going to get a little bit more, it's going to slow down a little bit, and you're going to get a little bit more difference between a play blast and when you hit the play button. So always, every once in a while, do a little play blast just to see what your timing really looks like. Okay, so once you've got it settled, and we'll settle the character here, and again you can go in there and do those variations and the little adjustments on the curves, but we won't do that just right now. We'll move over. Then we can pose the character, and if you want to give it a different expression, you can. And you can move all the little fingers around, and then wave. And I like to set a key on every control on every time that I set a key on any control. That way it just keeps it clean and keeps it simple. If you want to scale that and make it a little bit longer, you can do that as well. But and then it's just a matter of rotating this back and forth. Make my little, I'm just going to show the wave part here. There we go. So the wave part itself can be pretty simple. But it can be lots of fun. You can make different variations on this wave. And get one last wave in there. So now you can see the wave. Now, before you play blast and you want to turn it in, you want to make sure that you don't see these control curves. And how you turn those off is you go to Show, and I'm going to bring this down. And right here is NURBS curves. Now when you turn those on, you'll see all the controls, and you turn those off, then you will see only the surfaces. In fact, I usually like to turn everything off except for polygons and NURBS surfaces. And then NURBS curves when I'm working. But for the play blast, I can just leave those two on. Now that, again, that's under Show. It kind of goes up here out of screen here. But that's where you'll find it in that menu. All right. And if you want to, you can go in and layer in extra little things on top of it. So now that we have the basic animation, we can go in and make a little bit of variation in the fingers. And this is why, and where it comes in really handy, I like to set a key on every control on every frame that I have a key, because now I don't have to worry if I've set a key on certain controls or not. I know I've set keys on all of them. So I can just go in and make some variations. And again, I'm using auto key right here so that anytime I move it, it automatically sets a key. But if you don't have auto key on, then you're going to have to hit the S key every time. Okay, so now you can see I've made a few little adjustments in the fingers. So it just makes it feel a little bit more alive. And now if I want to have the head move a little bit, I can do that as well. And I can start going in, maybe have the chest move a little. And a great way, this is again where the graph editor comes in really handy. I can just move these main keys down here, and I want to get a curve that's kind of like this. It's kind of like a nice little S that comes down. And I'm going to let it hold so you can see. So then in this technique is called layering. I can layer in different animation on different parts. And I can go in here and make sure that my curves are nice and smooth. They look pretty good. All right, and I can give it another expression if I want, and I can animate the face. But this gives you a really good start. Now again, you can, if you would like, use the scarf controls, but I wouldn't go too crazy with them. So good luck. If you have any questions, you can email me at chad@theanimcourse.com. And if you are interested in our classes, come check us out at www.theanimcourse.com.